that the conversation is going to be informative, it's going to be interesting, it's going to be just something that is pressing, and of course, you definitely should be aware. It's meant to be a very, it's meant to be a subject talked about regularly because the information is so important. And so this morning, we're going to be having a conversation discussing mother, infant, young child nutrition, looking at some of the key issues, looking at how we got here, looking at way forward, and of course, trying to see what the Christian Association of Nigeria, Accelerating Nutrition in Nigeria, what they are doing, to solve this kind of situation. I also hear that they're working with a database, and there are so many, the work's already going on. So yes, it's good that we have them in the studio to have this conversation. Now, we have a face that I would not say is his first time on Rapid TV. Yes, it's not the first time, but you probably did not know this side of him. So we do have Apostle Commodore Abimbola Ayuba. Good to have you on the show this
Thank you
morning.
for having me.
All right. And I also have Sister Vera Nwosu joining us in the conversation this morning.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go straight to this conversation, which is mother, infant, young child nutrition. Nutrition is a very important thing. So I'm going to start with the apostle, since it's under the body of the Christian Association of Nigeria Accelerating Nutrition. You're a man. One would think that, why is a man part of this? One would think, okay, a woman should be the one part of this. But we have you, Apostle Commodore, part of the people driving this conversation. Let's have it. What gave rise to this initiative?
Yes, thank you very much. Under the Accelerating Nutrition Results in Nigeria, ANRIN for short, earlier exploratory research work had shown that it was important to involve men as spouses of pregnant women, lactating mothers, and also men in society, particularly faith actors, and also community leaders, to be involved in this, to solve this issue of malnutrition, child malnutrition. And of course, it's been found that having involved more men in this, the success rates had gradually increased in terms of getting the right level and quality of nutrition for both pregnant mothers and also lactating mothers who feed their infants up to the time they become young children from the ages of from the age of 6 months and above to about 2 years.
All right. Let's now move on to the woman right here. Okay. So, Madam Vera or Sister Vera,
It's okay.
whichever one is right.
It's fine, it's fine.
Okay. When we talk about malnutrition, especially for a pregnant woman or a woman who is breastfeeding, it's a very important matter because even as people who are not even breastfeeding or even have babies, some people are finding it difficult to feed, right? And then here we now have a person who's carrying another life inside of them, and then the life is going to come out, and then you still have to make sure that that life comes out in the most healthiest of ways. How would you describe our nutrition when it comes to the infant and, of course, expecting mothers? At what point are we?
Thank you very much. Nutrition is key right from the pregnancy state. And just like he just answered to you, men are vital to this part of the nutrition. Because when a man is carried along through the pregnancy stages, he understands the need for his wife to feed well in order to have a good baby, a healthy baby at the end of the day. So nutrition is very important because when you feed them well, when the mothers feed well, automatically the babies in the womb feed well too. And when they are eventually birthed, the milk is rich with nutrition. So right from pregnancy, women are expected to begin to eat nutritious foods like fruits, vegetables, the protein, water, and all that, so that they can have enough nutrients in their breast milk for the baby to grow healthy with it, strong and healthy with it.
All right. So this breastfeeding now, some people, I mean, the times are really tough, or rather, we're in a very fast-paced world. People want to just finish giving birth, start the stage, and then move on to hustling, because I mean, the
Very
work will take.
correct.
So and now, some people are still finding it hard to stick to the number of months to breastfeed their babies. We even have some mothers who will have to pump the breast milk inside the feeding bottle and give it to the help. In your program, is that part of what you do? Walk us through some of the things that your initiative, push for, and how far we've gone. I'm sure he definitely has a lot of questions to ask regarding to not the breast milk now, but other things related to the nutrition and all of that. So let's start with some of the what you think about this
Actually,
aspect.
because of the importance of breast milk to a child, it's acceptable that when the mother will not be available, she actually expresses the milk in bottle and leaves for the child at home. It's a good way.
Is it healthy?
It's healthy, so long as they maintain the hygiene, natural hygiene, wash your hands, make the bottle clean and all that. It's much better than having canned food for them, this baby milk and all that. Much, much better. But preferably, at all times, as a nursing mother, it is preferable that the mother breastfeeds the child, holding her close to her for bonding, for purposes of bonding. And I think it is also in line with that we have the government establishing creches in workplaces, so that a mother can easily walk out from her office, go to the crèche, breastfeed the baby, and go back to work and continue. So importantly, breast milk must be sustained until at least 6 months, exclusively, without water or any form of food. So it's in order to express the milk and keep for the baby.
All right, let me pick up from where Commodore, was talking about the involvement of our men and getting them interested, as it has to do with mother and child nutrition. Now, in practical terms, because someone might begin to, I want to ask, oh, the man is not the one that breastfeeds the baby, In practical terms, how would you say a man should be involved? Is it in terms of making food available for the wife? Or practically now, as a man, maybe as a husband, or maybe I'm a brother to the woman who is heavy with child, how should I be involved?
Well, thank you very much. That's a very beautiful question. Yes, it takes two to tango. Even before a baby is made, it's interactive. And you cannot now get a woman pregnant and walk away and leave her to go through all that cycle of pregnancy, psychological transformations and all that. So it's been advocated that, look, all through this period of pregnancy and also after a baby is born, up till the time the baby is weaned of breast milk, that the man should be a partner to his spouse. Like you said, it could be a brother to a sister living together, that they are able to, one, like you also mentioned, ensure that they provide the resources. Because when a woman is not working, at that time, she may not be able to support the husband. So the husband must realize that it's a time for him to up his game by working extra hard to provide the right quality of nutrition for both the mother and the child, and also to also provide some kind of motivation to the woman. There are always issues after pregnancy, when the child is mood swing, and some other psychosocial support that a man will need. So it was taught, and also as part of outcomes of research, exploratory research work that had been done earlier uh, by some researchers that preceded this program, launching of it. It was discovered that participating and getting men to be involved was quite helpful. And of course, in states of Nigeria where this breastfeeding program, accelerating nutrition, have found to have exceeded the benchmark, it was because the men were giving more support to the women or to their wives and to mothers and their infants. That's why they were able to meet the target or exceeded the benchmark. So that's why we also, as part of our public sensitization, to also, as faith actors, it's believed that we can, okay, because of our wide leverage reach, for Christian Association, for instance, we operate up to world levels in all the states of Nigeria, irrespective of how far flung that state may be. You will always find a church, be it Maiduguri, be it in Sokoto, be it in Zamfara. So, and at world level, the lowest level of, so it's found that using the faith actors, and also I need to make it clear that it's not only Khan that is working on this program. You have the Jamaatul Nasir Islam, JNI, who is also representing the Islamic perspective. So it has been found that faith actors have a very big role to play. One from the pulpit, messaging from the pulpit, and also carrying the messages to social programs, women meetings, gathering, youth forum, that because, of course, the young child, the young couples will be within the youth bracket.
What about social media? Because you just mentioned young couples, and for most young people, they spend a lot of time there. Is there anything people are doing in terms of influencing the thought pattern on social media?
Yeah, that's ongoing, and that's one of the reasons why we are here, to also ensure, because we recognize the power of the media to reach to reach almost a wide cast of people at the same time. So in terms of using social media handles, that's been done because, of course, we are operating at the national level at Abuja here. There are state focal officers from both of these bodies, faith actors, that work at the state level. Most of them are youth leaders who are focal officers at the state, and they go down to the grassroots. They have a lot of social media platforms that they work with. So this is where we are. And it's a continuous program. And of course, this might be winding up officially by the end of this year. And then the faith actors are expected to carry on even beyond this period that the federal government is involving itself and supporting the program. And for the same reason that the churches will always be there, almost forever. So, thank you.
All right.
Okay, let's, when you were talking, one thing is keep coming up, which is research. Let's talk a bit about this research that was carried out, and let us look at some of the states, the regions that are of top priority to the initiative, what is going on now. Let's talk about the top states, because of course we have 36 states and capital, and I'm not sure it's the entire 36 states that this is being carried out. So let's talk about the states based on your research, and let's now talk about how the progress has been so far.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, the need to improve of malnutrition and breastfeeding is open. The whole country needs it. But right now, the attention is in the very severe states, areas where it has been noticed that the babies are malnourished as a result of lack of proper breastfeeding. And the program has been able to identify 11 such states. Maybe in future, it will be expanded to more states in Nigeria, but right now, the critical states, mostly in the north, we have Kaduna, we have Kano, we have Zamfara, we have Abia, and some other more states like that. Like I said, there are 11 critical states. So the program is trying to reach them and see how they can improve or enlighten them on areas where they can improve on breastfeeding and all that. And like we were discussing outside when we said, sometimes people act ignorantly. They are not aware of the right way to breastfeed, the things they should do while breastfeeding. And that is the reason why you see most mothers at delivery, they deliberately refuse to breastfeed their babies. They actually express the first breast milk and pour away because they consider it not healthy. But ironically, that happens to be the healthiest part of the breast milk because it contains the cholesterol. So we're trying to advocate, to enlighten them to know that that part of the milk which they do not quite understand and as such remove is very essential because it contains all the nutrients and is actually the basis for the immunity of the child. It gives them the immunity over that period. So we, like the Commodore said, we hope to continue even after this program has stopped to keep encouraging women to keep breastfeeding, not to stop. And like you rightly said, only 11 states right now are benefiting from this program. But does it stop there? No. As time permits and as the finances are available, it will spread to the entire nation. Because I know that there are states that are not mentioned or included in these 11 states that also still have issues of malnutrition as a result of poor breastfeeding habits.
So in the course of your work, would you say that that lack of proper information on how to go about breastfeeding is the biggest challenge or the biggest hindrance that you guys have encountered?
Certainly, because like I also earlier said, you find most women breastfeeding. They actually breastfeed, but because they are not doing it the right way and they're not eating right to make the breast milk nutritious enough, it ends up being like in vain is their efforts of the breastfeeding. So it's good to enlighten them to know that in addition to this breastfeeding that you're doing, you also need to feed right in order to give the child the nutrients or the nutrition that the baby requires. Yes.
And while we're on that conversation, I don't know if you've been following the news. I mean, there's a projection that there could be hunger crisis in Nigeria. So there's that whole conversation of the person you're telling to, feed well and take care of herself before the person has not even seen food to eat.
My brother, I don't need to be in the news to know that there's hunger crisis
Aha!
not only in Nigeria. There's hunger crisis in the world. Everybody is feeling the pinch. Everybody is feeling the impact. But in spite of that, we need to make some extra effort for the next generation. Just that. And like we found out during our last program, because we had a 2-day program on this, enlightening people on how to go about it. We found out that with as little as 1,000 naira for a nursing mother, you can still at least maintain the basic nutrients.
Is that per day?
Buy the vegetable, just a few vegetables, buy an egg or two, and then take the milk. It will help. It will go a long way.
Okay, so they should boil the egg and eat it. Then
and eat it, yes.
Vegetable, they should chew it or squeeze it.
No, they should squeeze it or use it in their meals, their vegetables and fruits, so that it can enrich the breast milk like that, with as little as that. But of course, we are not denying the fact that there is hunger crisis in the world.
You see that 1,000 naira you're talking about, right?
It's hard for some people to even come by.
Yeah, not even about that. I want to ask about that 1,000 you're talking about. You know how much fruit costs right now?
I think,
before you could get fruits
Yeah,
of
very correct.
150.
Commodore has
very
something to say
correct.
about that.
I
very
think,
correct.
what is most emphasized is that there are varied availabilities of fruits in season and in different parts of the country. So the essence of some of our programs have been that to make women, fathers aware that in this season you can have more cereal like soya beans in this season, which you can now use, and because they will be cheap at the time, and these fruits will be available at that time. And sometimes in the rural communities, most of them farm all these gardens, things that you can pick from this ugu, what spinach, water leaf, and things that you can, that it doesn't have to be big items that you have to go deep into the market. Some people even have mangoes in their compound, bananas, oranges. Now you should just explore your environment and see those key nutrient-producing fruits, vegetables that you can have. And of course, mashed potatoes, areas in Jos, for instance, you have a lot of potatoes, carrots and all those. So it's varied from terrain to terrain, zone to zone, and season by season. That's why she says that under 1,000 naira. I think 1,000 will be probably the upper limit. You can get something that you can use to have a daily. That's why women are also asked to work harder to support the women, because this is a critical stage.
Okay, when he
in the
says
life of
women,
that.
he means men.
Yes.
I actually thought he meant women, but he means they, the men, should work hard.
Yes.
That's exactly what I said.
You, the men.
Yes, not women.
So just in case you didn't get it right, he meant you, the men,
should work hard.
should work very hard, because if you put a baby somewhere, you have to be able to give that baby good food. It's exactly
And,
unpaid labor.
You have to make sure
All
that
right.
your building is complete and strong enough to go.
Ooh. Okay, so let's now look at this other side. Looking at how the situation is in the country, there are several advocacy coming up to say, okay, fine, if you're not strong financially, you really don't have any business having kids, especially if you've had maybe one or two. You shouldn't go and have a football team if you know that you cannot cater for them. Where do you stand in that?
My sister, that's a tough question. I can only answer it by saying, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches him. If you have two kids and you're comfortable with the school fees you're paying, the upkeep and all that, and you think you can have 5, 6, why not? But if you have two and you're already sweating, getting the basic necessities for them, you do not need any Adam from anywhere to tell you that, you should constrain yourself somehow or the other. Except, of course, you want to go out to the streets carrying your begging plates, your pan. Baby Allah, give me sugar, baby Allah. Except you want to do that. So it doesn't. This question does not have a yes or no answer. It depends on how you, who has the issue, perceive it and want to go about it. No restriction. If you want to have 10 children, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if there's a part of your advocacy, your initiative, where you have a part where you get to advise some of these women, because I remember some time ago when we had a project in the north regarding to, okay, it's fine, you don't have enough, you and your husband, you guys don't have enough to feed the family, but then you're still getting pregnant again. And some of these women did say things like, oh, it is the men who, okay, I think I should turn to Commodore now. The women were saying that it is the men who needs to get that info, because they are the ones who don't want to calm down. And so once the baby enters, they don't even want to take any form of birth controls. And some of these, even when you bring the option of birth control and all of that, they still want the message to go to their husbands, because it is the men who do not want to listen. You know how your financial life is, yet you keep pumping babies into the woman.
It's interesting. Well, you see, there's, like you say, there's no yes or no, there's no direct answers to these things. But, you know, in line with various levels of maternal health advocacies, there are so many levels of them you know. But also child spacing has been canvassed. More that people should also apply more of contraceptions and try to,
Family planning.
yes, family planning under that umbrella of family planning. And that's why we also say that it's good at every forum that we have, especially as faith actors, we get on the pulpit, spare 5-10 minutes to talk about these
Family
issues,
planning.
because it's believed that people listen more to their pastors, to their reverends, their spiritual guardians, and more sometimes. And of course, if a man has been that active and he hears his pastor saying that he should slow down, you know, they can now go, maybe when they are going, did you hear what the pastor said? And, you know, that kind of impact is expected. And the results have been quite interesting and positive. And I think, like you also said, the men should also be conscious. But of course, if you are active, you know, it also interrogates the socio-cultural affinities of people, depending on the tribe and the part of the country that they are in. And there are some places where it's almost forbidden to count children. If you put them a form down and say, how many children do you have? They don't feel it.
Yes.
And they say this is forbidden
It's forbidden
to count children. That's how many children God,
God
gives
gives, yes.
that you accept. So this is why sometimes these advocacies are necessary, to let them know that. Because when you go about doing this and the man suddenly gives up the ghost, and it leaves the woman in trauma and the children. That's why you have more of these almajiri problems in some parts of the country, because sometimes too, when the widow is unable to sustain herself, society is so cruel to her, she will be forced to push out those children to some clerics somewhere to go and live with relations, then where you have new emergent social problems occurring, like child abuses and all that, child slavery, and so these things are interrelated. You know, advocacy must not cease, and that's one of the reasons why we are here on this very beautiful platform, to Rapid TV, to discuss on these very key issues. Thank you.
In addition to that, it might interest you to know that breastfeeding on its own is a form of family planning. When you breastfeed right, you will be able to be given a window, a period where you are not able to conceive. You can also explore the Billings method, the natural method, with your husband. It doesn't stop you from having contact with your husband or your wife or something, but if you know how to regulate yourselves, the days and all that, for those who are not in support of contraceptives and all that, because it's not everybody who would like to go into that. So we are appealing that they can also explore the natural method of doing this, and then for nursing mothers, they can breastfeed long enough to keep them free and safe from another pregnancy.
When you say breastfeed long enough,
Yes.
you mean like exceeding the 6 months?
Of course, you don't stop breastfeeding after 6 months. You only stop breastfeeding exclusively after 6 months. You go down to 1 year, 1.5 years for some people. Yes. Even 2 years, yes. Maximum 2 years. It's a doable. And I assure you that when you see children that are probably breastfed for that period of time, you need no soothsayer to tell you that there is a difference between this child and this child who was breastfed for only just 6 months or so. There is a clear difference.
Okay.
Breast milk is good.
So for those of you who would say, you this child, don't worry, you go to the chop Gary. So get ready, times are hard, you start doing pap for you. So maybe you have to rethink. It's not easy, it's quite difficult, because it can be very stressful.
No, but talking about pap, The way you said pap now is like you will bring them lower to a lower standard of pap.
No,
But
no,
I want
I don't
to
mean
assure
it
you
that
that
way.
pap is very, very nutritious.
I didn't mean it that
Highly
way.
nutritious and is affordable
Yes.
within your environment. And all you need to do to even make it better or fortify it more, just perhaps when you make your pap, drop palm oil in it. If you have small crayfish, pound and put
Yes,
inside them.
crayfish, yes.
Begin to give your baby is well nourished. I mean, after
Even
1 year.
soya milk, I heard of soya milk,
Yes,
yes, soya
if you
milk
put
too.
it, very okay.
Yes.
Now you know what you are giving to your child, not the canned food that you give that you do not know what it is in it. So mothers are encouraged to explore the grains around us. Is it millet? Is it corn? Is it any one of them? Do it and then add a little bit of these small nutrients. Blend it into it and your child is good to go. Your baby is good to go.
Yeah. I think this. Okay, so for palm oil, I think for somebody you want to write that down because I know of crayfish, I know of soya milk, I know of joro.
Yes.
This
Jero is a grain.
yeah,
Jero
the
is
other
a
one,
grain,
and then there's this
yes.
other small one. What was it called again?
Is it the millet?
The one
dawa?
dawa.
Okay.
Yeah, dawa. Yes.
Guinea corn and millet. Those are the names
Yeah.
of the gero and the whatever maize. Yes, the
Some
English
people
ones.
do dawa and
Yes,
the rest
yes.
of them. Yes. Okay, so you
The
have
palm
different
oil
options.
there gives you vitamin A.
Okay.
It improves the baby's eyesight
that's
and helps the brain and all that. So just a little bit, and then of course it colors the pap. It makes it beautiful and attractive to the baby. Babies like colors, so good to go.
All right, so now you have options. Just go and get one mudu of any of these cereals, and then be able to leave all this oyibo
And garnish
packets.
appropriately. It doesn't have to be sugar
Yes,
and milk
doesn't
all
have
the
to
time.
be sugar and milk all the time. Yes, it's quite interesting.
So
and
you put your palm oil, you put
delicious.
your crayfish, and see how you will have a bouncing baby.
very bad.
All right, I must say thank you so much for having this conversation with us. It's been so great. I'm definitely sure that this Friday somebody's going to go to the market this weekend and go and get like 5 mudus, and start doing something for their babies, and even for the mothers. This is also
Even for the mother,
mothers
yes,
as well.
yes, even
yes.
for the mothers.
We had it helped for breast milk.
Yes, it makes breast milk flow better. Easy for the child to get access to. Yes. For most mothers or nursing mothers, as soon as they deliver, you see, they run into the kitchen. They either make kunu.
Yes.
Kunu is a lighter one.
Yes.
Or the pap. And stocks the flax around. So she's constantly drinking those things. For people in the south, they go with palm wine.
Yes.
Palm wine is another thing that makes the breast milk flow very well. So any of that would help the flow of your breast milk.
Okay, so before we let you go, there's this word. Some people say you mix small stout with. Okay, so we hear that we hear.
As faith actors, we
Oh.
won't recommend that.
We won't go there.
Yeah,
We drink
that's
palm
it.
wine because it's a natural drink.
Okay.
It's within our.
Okay.
That's it.
So scratch the other one.
Scratch, in fact, they
I-
didn't
I
hear
didn't-
it.
did I
You
say
didn't,
anything?
no, you didn't say anything.
No, I was talking about palm wine and
Yes.
joro. Yeah. So, all right. So you've gotten one or two things. So lastly, there's some women complain that once they give birth, their breast doesn't produce milk. Some of them find it sometimes for 24 hours. There's no breast milk coming out. What would you say could be the situation there, and what can they do if they are found in such?
Thank you. Some nursing mothers begin to lactate even before the baby is born. They begin to notice breast milk. But for some mothers, they don't get breast milk until 24 hours or more after the baby is born. In spite of that, you should just keep your baby to the breast.
Oh, okay.
The presence of the baby to the breast lactates. It aids lactation. It helps to send a signal to the breast that the owner that needs you is around. Begin
Okay.
to do something. And then it begins to flow
Hear my
gradually.
voice. Hear my voice.
Yes. So in spite of the initial pain that you may feel because the milk is not there and the breast is all tender and all that, just persevere. Let the baby be on it, and before you know it, the breast milk will start coming, and that's it. But then there are some cases that are beyond what I just said and may need the intervention of the doctor. So they just go back to the doctor, and the doctor will advise them accordingly.
So palm oil cannot help in this situation.
I don't know, but I just know that it helps to make the breast milk grow. But if it doesn't help it flow at that time, just persevere and let your baby keep suckling. It will come.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show with us. It has really been an interesting conversation, I must say. Christian Association of Nigeria Accelerating Nutrition in Nigeria, FitBase. And we've been discussing mother, infant, young child nutrition, some of the key issues and solutions, and so far what has been done. Thank you so much, Apostle Commodore Abimbola Ayuba.
Thank you for
And
having
of course,
me.
thank you so much, Sister Vera Nwosu.
Thank you.
And we're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, Rapid Dawn comes to a close.